As the two young men exit the bedroom, they find their families gathered in a semicircle around a stranger. Standing in the living room is a tall, well-dressed black man in his mid-30s. Black hair cut in the fashion of the time. A thin mustache graces a handsome face. His manner of speech reveals him to be a northerner, a Yankee. Kevin's mother turns and introduces the young men to the stranger. Guess who this be? The young men stare in silence. Good afternoon. My name is Philip Pickman. I'm the new school teacher. I'm just making the rounds to introduce myself to all the school-aged children. I've come from up north, from a small town in Massachusetts. I heard tell that you folks around here didn't have a school teacher, so I applied for the job. I'm also a member of the NAACP, and I intend to register every colored man of voting age. Colored folks, voting, questions Kevin's mother, her voice denoting a certain fearful apprehension. She once more questions. You mean to tell me you come all the way down here from up north to see to it that colored folks vote? Yes, ma'am, that's right, affirms the handsome stranger. Our people have to look out for each other. We know what things are like down here in Mississippi. The whole world knows what it's like for colored folks here in America, especially in Mississippi. All the way from France to Russia, they know that the colored man in America has been unchained, but never freed. You folks here in Mississippi may feel alone, but you have more friends in the world than you can imagine. That's why I'm here. I intend to see our people free. I'm here to educate your children and empower your men. Through the power of the ballot, your vote has more power than you could ever imagine. Kevin's sisters emote a cheerful exuberance. We's all gon' be free, shouts Trina to her younger siblings. Kevin's mother throws both arms around the stranger, hugging him tightly. She tearfully emotes. Glory to God. Praise Jesus, we've been praying for a miracle. Son, you is the answer to all our prayers. My, but you are brave, says Hazel. Her eyes gaze at the handsome stranger with the deepest of admiration. Kevin interrupts. Excuse me, Mr. Pickman, but you mean to say, you mean for the colored folk here, in Nigger Town, to go down to Muskie, down to the courthouse, and sign up all the colored folks to vote? Don't that mean taking power away from white folk? No, son, I don't mean taking power away from white folks. I mean to simply give power to black folks. Isn't that what democracy means? One man, one vote. The intensity of his stare causes Kevin to look down. This nigger must be crazy. He ain't never been down south, declares Kevin to young Perkins in a hushed tone. Young Perkins, deaf to Kevin's concern for the stranger's safety, remains standing, silently glaring in disapproval. Not in disapproval of the handsome stranger's lofty ambitions, not at his naivete. His anger stemmed from the manner in which Hazel gazed at him. The look in her eyes gave every evidence of her being smitten. In that short moment of introduction, he knew then and there that he had a serious rival. So, Mr. Pickman was to be the new school teacher. He was going to single-handedly lift the black men of Muskie, Mississippi, from the dust of their wretchedness. Kevin suddenly noticed the look of disapproval in the eyes of young Perkins. Seeking to give his young companion a small word of solace, he expresses, Don't worry, partner. He won't be around very long. The fool, he don't know what he's in for. I give him 6 months at best. Them white folks kill him faux show. You hear what I say? We's looking at a dead man. Young Perkins gives no reply. He merely squints his eyes, grits his teeth, and slowly nods in agreement. The stranger notices young Perkins holding his suitcase. You not leaving us, are you? Questions the stranger. No, sir, Mr. Pickman. Kevin's mother interrupts. He's just gone to stay with my sister here. That's Miss Emma's grandson. I don't reckon you met her yet. She makes the best pies in the county. Well, that's just fine. I love my pies, especially blackberry pies." "Funny you mentioned that," interrupts Hazel. "Blackberry pies are her specialty. Lord in heaven, you haven't tasted heaven until you tasted one of her flaky blackberry pies. The secret is in her crust." Noticing the piercing glare in the eyes of young Perkins, Mr. Pickman excuses himself. "Well, I guess I kept you people long enough. It's about time I move along." "Leaving so soon?" Kevin's mother questions in an attempt to remain hospitable. "Yes, I've got a few more houses to visit. I heard tell that around 30 children of school age are around here. I mean to visit them all before school starts next month." "Well, I'm glad to meet you," Kevin's mother says as she gives the stranger a final farewell hug. "Yes, Mr. Pickman, I'm glad to see a man that's not afraid." Not wishing to present such a demonstrative display of affection, Hazel merely extends a hand. "I suspect I'll be seeing you again." All present notice a certain chemistry between the two, a pleasant affability. But also noticed by all is the tight black leather glove worn on the right hand of Mr. Pickman, while the other hand remained gloveless. "Oh, you're wondering about my hand," remarks the stranger. "It was injured during the war." "Does it hurt?" asks Kevin's younger sister. "No, dear child, it did, but it doesn't anymore. I leave the glove on because the wound is quite unsightly, but it works just fine." Noting the look in the eyes of the two, Kevin's mother decides to play matchmaker. "Then you wouldn't mind toting that there suitcase over to my sister's house, would you please?" Young Perkins angrily spurts. "I think I can manage just fine by myself." "Nonsense," she replies. Walking over to the young man, she removes the suitcase from his grasp. "You don't need to be carrying all that, not after you being in bed all those days. I'm sure he won't mind. Here, Mr. Pickman." Smiling, she hands the case to Mr. Pickman. "No, I don't mind at all," he calmly insists, all the while gazing into the young widow's eyes. "Shall we go?" Her eyes question young Perkins. Mortified with so drastic a change of events, young Perkins merely shrugs and bids a grudging farewell to Kevin and his family. As the three exit the home and make their way down the long country road, young Perkins can only reflect on life's capricious nature. Looking back at the wood frame house where Kevin stands with his family, under the shade of the front porch, watching, waving, wondering how a gentleman so fine would deem it necessary to come to a place so foul. Who was the stranger? Who was this man from the north? Young Perkins lagged a few paces behind the two as they engaged in idle banter, his eyes all the while scrutinizing the stranger. Looking down at his shiny black shoes, he marveled at the way the golden light of the afternoon sun reflected like black mirrors against freshly polished patent leather. While most of the men of the community wore overalls even on Sundays during the church meetings, they would call themselves suitably dressed by merely wearing a tie and white shirt. The only time a black man wore a suit and tie, sadly to say, was at the day of his internment. Even then the community had to take up an offering. The colored population of Muskie had no real money. The poor folks there dealt largely in barter. How immaculate, how sharply his pants were pressed. The crease in his trousers appeared to be razor sharp. The suit coat he wore had obviously been cut to fit by a master tailor. The young man could find not a single flaw. The handsome stranger was perfect in dress and manners, though his pale complexion revealed the fact that at one time his mother or grandmother had been the pampered property of a white plantation owner. His blue-gray eyes, once a mark of shame, they now presented themselves as something of a novelty, a thing of beauty. Young Perkins hated the way they seemed to draw Hazel in. The stranger's gaze was something close to hypnotic, trance-like. No, Mr. Pickman was out of place here in Muskie. He was perfect, too perfect. There was something unnatural about it, something unnatural, unreal. He was trying hard, too hard to appear human, to be human. Then it struck him, suddenly. The stranger did have a weakness, a glaring flaw. The secret to Mr. Philip Pickman had been covered up. Had he truly been wounded during the Great War? Young Perkins greatly doubted the veracity of that statement. He had seen men come back from the war with wounds far more ghastly than a burned hand. Young Perkins was convinced, without a doubt. The stranger was hiding something, something dark, something ugly, something evil. The war must have been something terrible. It's terrible what them Germans done. Looking down at his gloved hand, "Does it pain you much?" questions the widow. "No, I'm just fine," the stranger claims. His gray-blue eyes begin to squint under the glare of the summer sun. "Is it always like this? Is it always this hot, this humid?" "Oh, no." Young Perkins interjects, wishing to deter the young stranger from his mission. He begins exaggerating. "Yes, sir. Today ain't nothing. Tomorrow probably be much worse. I've seen dogs just howling in pain from having all four of their paws stuck in the road. Most times when it gets hot. I mean real hot. You can see the tar bubbling. Yes, sir. The paved road begins melting, almost like quicksand. Trees get so dry, they just burst into flame." Looking down at the stranger's shoes, the young man shakes his head and woefully cautions, "Them some mighty fine shoes you got there. I hate to see you stuck in the road. Yes, sir, mister, some mighty fine shoes. If I was you, I'd take myself and them fine shoes and go on back to where you came from." "Where was that again?" Mr. Pickman glares back over his shoulder. "Massachusetts." "Hush now," she commands. "Leave the man be. Don't mind him, Mr. Pickman. He's just a child. He don't know no better." The word child stung the young man like an angry wasp. He was cut to the quick. Hanging his head, he lagged even farther back. His eyes began to water as he remembered the kindness, the tender compassion Hazel had shown him earlier that day. At the tender age of 13, young Perkins had learned what many men at 30 have often failed to realize. That being the fickle nature of womankind. Why, just an hour ago I was your little man, but now that this stranger comes along, all of a sudden I'm just a child, a baby. Young Perkins' heart burned with a malevolent hatred for the stranger. With that one thoughtless phrase, she had instantly transformed the handsome stranger from being a mere suitor to the young man's ultimate rival. Oblivious to the severity of the wound just dealt to young Perkins, she, like a giddy schoolgirl, attempts to delve deeper into the stranger's past. My, Massachusetts, you say? Whereabouts? Boston? She asks, with a slight giggle. With that, the widow's innocent inquiry shrouds the moment in an eerie veil of darkness, sending a shadow over the moment's mood. The expression on the handsome stranger changes. Through gritted teeth, he bitterly spits out the name Dark Witch. The cold, ugly, matter-of-fact manner in which he spoke the word sent a sharp chill through both Hazel and young Perkins alike. A strange sense of unease forces the widow to change the subject. Her youthful infatuation is crudely drawn from her. As the summer heat draws moisture from the soil, so also is the coquettish attraction for the stranger drawn from the widow Hazel's heart. The stranger's sudden change in attitude had wounded her. It reflected in her eyes. She had felt its sting. "That's what you get," young Perkins thought to himself. Still hurting from Hazel's careless words, "You called me a child. A child. How foolish you must feel." A smile slowly spreads across the young man's face, pleased to see the veil removed from the widow's eyes. She had at last caught a glimpse, if ever so slight, of the true nature of the all-too-perfect Mr. Philip Pickman. He had, in that brief moment of weakness, revealed the thing, hidden beneath that black leather glove, what lurked behind those cold, blue-gray eyes. Was it human? Was he human? Dark Witch, the name itself carried a certain foreboding. It was surely a place that no one would ever care to visit, let alone reside. "Oh, look," says the widow, pointing to the crossroads up ahead. "There's the crossroads. Seeing that you're a stranger around these parts, it's best you know about the crossroads." After walking a few paces, the three stand in the center of the crossroads. "Back where we came from," looking back over her shoulder, "why, that's Colored Town. White folk call it Nigger Town," pointing to the east. "Now down that road is the river," pointing to the opposite direction. "Now down there is the planters' fields. That's where most of the colored folk around here work," she says with a certain smiling pride. "There's some mighty fine plantation homes down there. They ain't what they was, most of them run down, paint chipping and all. But a body can see that before the war, that them white folks lived fine. Yes, Lord, them white folks lived mighty fine." She turns and gazes in the direction of town. Her expression of pride changes to one of loathing. "Now down there be Muskie." With that she spits in the direction of the town, gazing into the horizon, the lazy summer sun now setting blankets, the fields with a blood-red glow. Young Perkins interjects. "There's one thing you have to understand, Mr. Pickman, sir, is the law. I don't know about up there where you come from, but down here in Mississippi, most towns like Muskie, they got a special law, you know, rules and such. There is a law for white folks, then there's a law for colored folks. They got something called the Sundown Law." The Widow Hazel continues. "What we're trying to say, Mr. Pickman, is that it's against the law for colored people to be in town after dark. Sun setting now. It wouldn't be wise to go into town, leastways not now. Best you wait till tomorrow. Me and my little fella here, well, he's going to be staying with me for a spell. There was trouble in town, and Pastor Jackson thought it best he spend a little time with me for a while. It wouldn't be seemly for a bachelor to be staying with a widow like myself. The old school teacher, well, they had him a nice little place fixed up behind the schoolhouse." "Yes, I know," replied Mr. Pickman. "That's where I'm going to be staying." Down the road, a rickety flatbed wagon containing several large blocks of ice is slowly being pulled by a tired old plow mule. Seated in the wagon is an even older black man, his long, matted gray-white beard a testament to his age. Young Perkins smiles as the wagon approaches. "Hey, here comes old Mr. Grimes. He's the Iceman, you know." "Oh, thank you, Jesus." The widow gratefully voices her relief to see the approach of a cool respite from the heat. "Now I can get a nice piece of ice," she says with a relieving sigh. "Yeah, me too," the young man gleefully announces. Turning to Mr. Pickman, he asks, "You like ice, mister?" The stranger gives no reply. "I know I do," says young Perkins as he rushes up to the wagon. "Howdy, Mr. Grimes." "Howdy, son," replied the old man with a weary smile. "How's life been treating you?" inquires the old man. "Talk in town. Say there was some trouble a few days back. White folks say there was a couple of colored boys fooling around in town. They say to me, 'Grimes, we give you $1 if you know who them boys be.'" Gazing down at the youth, the wily old fox flashes young Perkins a wry smile and a knowing wink. With a raspy chuckle, he slowly shakes his gray-haired head in the negative and says, "No, sir. If y'all did see some colored boys, they sure 'nuff wasn't from around here. I suspect they must have been a couple of tramps." The manner in which the friendly old man feigned ignorance sends a warm feeling of prideful admiration through the young man's heart. The old veteran's fidelity to his people causes the young man's eyes to moisten. There were far too many colored men that were afraid. Men like Silas, men who would eagerly betray one another, whether it be through the fear of the wrath of white men or simply through greed. The colored men of Muskie had been emasculated, cowed, burdened by the stifling yoke of Southern white supremacy. But there, dear God, seated in that old wooden wagon, was a man. Unafraid, humbled by the young man's affectionate gaze, the dear old soul finds that his eyes have also begun to tear. Reaching behind him, he withdraws a handful of chipped ice. Bending down, he places the cold chips in the young man's cupped hands. And with a somber expression, the old man voices a cryptic word of caution. "I heard tell. The deputy might have shot one of the boys. Them crackers say they looking for somebody that got some sort of scar somewhere around his head. Have you heard anything about?" The young man attempts to question, but is cut off by the approach of Hazel. "Afternoon," she cordially addresses. "Mighty hot this afternoon. Can you spare a bit of ice?" The young man places a small piece of ice in the widow's palm. She gives an audible sigh of relief as she rubs the ice around her forehead, her honey-brown skin glistening with the soothing moisture. The young widow presents an alluring sight as she continues slowly rubbing the ice around her neck and shoulders. Young Perkins and the elderly Mr. Grimes alike remained silent, their eyes pleasantly enjoying the widow's innocent sensuality. The moment is suddenly broken at approach of the young stranger. As Mr. Pickman comes within 10 paces of the wagon, Shotgun, old Mr. Grimes's mule, begins to whinny and neigh. "Easy there, Shotgun," he commands the animal. The mule's agitation growing, it rears up. "Hold up there, Shotgun. What's wrong with you?" Struggling to hold the reins, he apologizes. "I'm sorry, y'all. I don't know what got into him. Hold up, I say," shouts Mr. Grimes with mounting alarm as he continues to struggle with the reins of the mule. "Hold up, damn you, mule." Mr. Pickman instinctively backs away. In doing so, the mule instantly becomes calm. "That's it, Shotgun. That's a good boy." The old man smiled nervously. Befuddled by the animal's unnatural behavior, he apologizes to the three. "I say, I'm sorry. I don't know what got into old Shotgun. He never did nothing like that before." The widow and young Perkins cast questioning glances at each other. Alerted by the expression on the faces of the two, the wise old veteran becomes suspicious as to the nature of their unease. Through narrowed eyes, the old man scrutinizes the young stranger. "I'm sorry." Mr. Grimes apologizes, his eyes all the while examining the young man. "I don't know what made Shotgun get so skittish. You know animals is funny things. Must be me and Shotgun both past our prime. I reckon he's just old, that's all." The old man's expression remains unchanged. Through a grimace-like smile, Mr. Grimes introduces himself. "How do, young stranger? I keeps everybody around here nice and cool. My name's Grimes, Joseph Grimes. And you be?" "Oh, I'm sorry," interrupts the widow. Walking over to Mr. Pickman, she offers an introduction. "This is Mr. Pickman, the new school teacher. He come all the way down from the north." "All the way down from the north, you say?" echoes Mr. Grimes in a mocking tone. My, all the way down from the north." He once more repeats in a manner most snide. "Yes, he's going to see to it that colored folks down here gets to vote." "Is that so?" questions the old man in a doubtful tone. "So I seen you ain't been to Muskie yet." "No, not yet," replies the stranger. "Well, good luck," states Mr. Grimes with a mocking laugh. "Well, I guess I best be getting along. It's been mighty hot these few days. I got ice to deliver." Snapping the reins, he bids the three farewell as the wagon pulls away. "I wonder what made old Shotgun act that way," ponders young Perkins as he gazes at Mr. Pickman through basilisk eyes. "I don't know. What do you think?" the stranger answers, his voice coldly challenging the youth. "What do you think?" His blue-gray eyes become granite. For an instant the two stand silently staring at each other, casting glares, the silent intensity rising from a slow simmer to a hot boil. Now, you two, just simmer down. The boy didn't mean nothing by it. He's my little man. He knows better than to question grown folks. He don't mean no disrespect. You was raised better than that, now weren't you?" intones the widow, with a nervous chuckle, her eyes all the while cautioning the youth not to press the matter. "Now you apologize to Mr. Pickman, and let's be on our way." Angered young Perkins at first remained silent. Refusing to bend, he defiantly returns Pickman's hard glare with his own. The tension instantly breaks, as young Perkins is suddenly spreckled by cold water from the widow's fingers. "Hey, watch it," commands the young man. His anger cools as she again playfully speckles cold water at him. "Hey, watch it." The young widow playfully mocks the young man as the two begin a game of flicking water at each other. Young Perkins laughingly apologizes as the widow begins to get the better of him. Okay. I give. Now apologize," she commands. The young man's jovial mood quickly dies away as he's reminded of the stranger's presence. "Now apologize to Mr. Pickman," the widow laughingly demands, as she threatens to continue her liquid chastisement. "I'm sorry, Mr. Pickman, sir," apologizes young Perkins, smiling. He humbly extends a hand in friendship. Mr. Pickman voices no reply. The deathly silence screamed warnings of danger. Compressing the air with a grinding tension was the way in which the stranger stared at young Perkins. The hard, soulless expression of unforgiveness shown in those gray-blue eyes remained unchanged. "Now, Mr. Pickman, sir, don't be like that," chides the widow. Her words forces the stranger to don the mask of friendship. With a smile as venomous as a cobra, he accepts the young man's apology and extends his gloved hand. Young Perkins momentarily pauses, not wishing to offend, but also not wishing for his hand to even touch the leather-sheathed mystery. Young Perkins inhales, then exhales. Presenting a smile as false as a televangelist's, he lightly grips the black enigma. Young Perkins unconsciously grimaces as his skin comes in contact with the leather. The young man's hand feels like that of a fly caught in the deadly grip of a Venus fly-trap. A slight look of sadistic pleasure spreads over the stranger's face as his gloved hand tightens. "That's what I like to see," says the widow, smiling to see the display of camaraderie, however so shallow. Through the tight-fitting leather, the young man can distinctly feel the contours of the stranger's hand. The tighter the stranger gripped, the more inhuman it felt. Yes, it was indeed a hand. It possesses 4 fingers and a thumb, of which all were acting in unison. Squeezing, they sent sharp pings of pain shooting through the young man's fingers. The biting grip was only released when the young widow placed her hands on the shoulders of the two. "Seeing that we're here at the crossroads, me and my little fella here, well, we're going to have to bid you a good evening. Oh, here, let me take that." Taking the suitcase from Mr. Pickman, she offers it to young Perkins to carry. "There now," she adds with a smile. "You about ready?" "Yes, I've been ready," he replies. Relieved by their impending departure, young Perkins gladly takes the suitcase. His hand still throbbing, a sobering reminder of the strength concealed within the stranger's vice-like grip. "Are you sure you don't want me to escort you home?" asked the stranger. Young Perkins' heart skipped a beat, not wishing to have any further contact with the mysterious Mr. Pickman. No, we be just fine." The widow slowly turns, examining the horizon and the closing darkness. Colored folks shouldn't be out this time of the evening, especially a stranger like yourself. Most folks around here don't rightly know you yet. Plus, my place is just a mile or so up the road. The widow gives a friendly laugh. "Mr. Pickman, I reckon you got to walk quite a stretch 'fore you gets to the schoolhouse. You say you been down to the schoolhouse before, right?" "Yes, that's right," Pickman answers. He briefly glances at the young man, who's every bit relieved. "Well, goodbye, Mr. Pickman, sir." The young man's eyes reflecting a definite dislike. "We'll be seeing you." The young man bids farewell. With a disdainful grin, he adds, "Be careful now, Mr. Pickman. Remember, the schoolhouse is right next to the river. Don't you go falling in. I'd hate to see you get yourself drowned." With that, the widow Hazel flashes a whimsical glance at the young man. He, smiling, takes hold of her hand and leads her from the center of the crossroads. As the two continue their way, young Perkins periodically looks over his shoulder, only to find Mr. Pickman still standing in the center of the crossroad, watching.
Okay, picture this. It's a really hot, sticky afternoon, deep in rural Mississippi. You walk out of a bedroom, maybe still waking up a bit, and your whole family's gathered. And right there, in your living room, is this stranger, tall guy, black, mid-30s, dressed immaculately, handsome, neat mustache. He's a northerner, a Yankee, and his arrival. It's about to shake everything up in this small, tight-knit community.
Mm-hmm.
So today we're doing a deep dive into an excerpt from The Stranger at the Crossroads. We're going to unpack this really gripping first meeting. We'll look at the characters, what makes them tick, the intense social climate of the time, and these unsettling mysteries that pop up almost immediately with this stranger.
Right.
Our mission here is to explore how different people react, when an outsider comes in with these big, maybe dangerous ideas into a place that's just steeped in tradition and, honestly, a lot of fear.
And what's so striking, I think, is how quickly he becomes this catalyst, Philip Pickman. He's not just visiting. His being there forces everyone to face their own hopes, their deepest fears, their loyalties. It's a community right on the edge.
Let's dig into him then, Philip Pickman. He shows up looking, well, perfect. Educated Northerner. What's the significance of that look, that self-presentation, especially being a Yankee down there?
Oh, it's huge. That appearance, the shiny shoes, the sharp suit, everything custom-tailored, it screams outsider. It sets him apart immediately in a place where maybe function rules over form,
Right.
His clothes signal something different. He says he's a new school teacher, there's a position of respect, of uplift, but then he reveals his real mission, and you see he's driven by something much bigger.
Yeah, his stated purpose is.
Wow.
He says he's with the NAACP, that's the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, a major civil rights group even then, and he plans to register every, quote, colored man of voting age. His words, they're almost like a call to arms, aren't they?
Absolutely. He lays it right out there. Our people have to look out for each other. We know what things are like down here in Mississippi. The whole world knows that the colored man in America has been unchained but never freed.
Yeah.
It's powerful stuff.
Yeah.
He says he's there to educate your children and empower your men. And then the key line, through the power of the ballot, your vote has more power than you could ever imagine. This isn't just teaching ABCs. It's about shifting power. Which, in that place, at that time, that's revolutionary talk.
And the reactions are instant, just boom, all over the place.
Yeah.
You have Kevin's mother just overcome, tears of joy, calling Pickman a miracle, the answer to all our prayers.
Yeah, pure elation for some.
Her daughters, too, like Trina, shouting, "We's all gonna be free!" Even Hazel, the widow, she's clearly impressed, admires his courage, maybe a little smitten.
Definitely seems that way. It shows you the level of desperation, the yearning for change that was just simmering there, right? For them, he's like this figure of hope suddenly made real. That immediate embrace tells you a lot about the weight they've been carrying.
But then you get the flip side.
Right. The fear.
Yeah.
The skepticism.
Kevin, his reaction just slams Pickman's big ideas right into the harsh reality of the Jim Crow South. He asks him straight up, don't that mean taking power away from white folk?
A very practical question, born from experience.
And Pickman gives this sort of idealistic democratic answer. No, son, I don't mean taking power away from white folks. I mean to simply give power to black folks. Isn't that what democracy means? One man, one vote. But Kevin, not buying it. He whispers to his friend, young Perkins, this nigger must be crazy. He ain't never been down south. He predicts Pickman won't last 6 months. Them white folks kill him for show. How critical is it that we get that fear voice so early, right alongside the hope?
Oh, it's absolutely essential. Kevin's realism, it's like a cold shower on that initial excitement. It sets the stakes immediately. Hope is one thing, but survival, that's dictated by fear down there.
Yeah.
To Kevin, Pickman's idealism, no matter how noble, sounds naive. It sounds dangerous. He knows the potential cost. It's not just politics. It's literally life and death.
And then there's young Perkins. He's quiet at first, but his disapproval isn't even about the voting rights plan initially.
No, he's sizing Pickman up as competition.
Exactly. He sees Hazel looking at Pickman and thinks, okay, serious rival here. But even with that personal angle, he ends up agreeing with Kevin. He thinks Pickman's in real danger.
It's fascinating, isn't it? You've got this explosive mix, desperate hope, personal jealousy, and this stark, terrifying reality of danger all swirling around this one guy who just walked in the door.
A perfect storm.
It really is a microcosm of human drama under extreme pressure. Pickman's not just challenging the system. He's upsetting the whole social balance, politically and personally.
Yeah.
And as things go on, Pickman himself starts to feel unsettling, beyond just the obvious danger he brings.
Right, which brings us to this detail that young Perkins picks up on, the glove. Pickman wears this tight black leather glove just on his right hand. Left hand's bare. He brushes it off, says it's an unsightly war wound, but it works just fine. What does that glove signal to you right off the bat?
It's a classic piece of foreshadowing, isn't it? A visual puzzle. It immediately makes you wonder, what's he hiding? And for someone like young Perkins, who's already suspicious and maybe a bit jealous, it's a huge red flag. He thinks, I've seen war wounds, nasty ones, a burned hand. You don't necessarily hide that so meticulously.
Okay.
So it feeds this gut feeling he has that Pickman is hiding something dark, something ugly, something evil. That physical concealment points to a hidden inner reality.
And Perkins keeps watching. He notices Pickman's appearance, again, the pale complexion, the blue-gray eyes. He reflects that features like that, suggesting mixed heritage, used to be shameful, but now on Pickman they seem like a novelty, something that draws Hazel in. It's like Pickman is too polished.
Exactly, too perfect, almost unnaturally so for that environment. And this shift in how Perkins sees him from maybe an admirable, brave outsider to this kind of unsettling figure, it's not just about Pickman's secrets. It shows how quickly hope can flip to suspicion in a community that's already on edge.
Yeah, definitely.
And that suspicion gets cranked way up during this exchange where Hazel, just trying to make conversation, asks Pickman where in Massachusetts he's from. You know, probably expecting some charming story.
Oh, yeah. That moment is chilling. Pickman's whole vibe just shifts.
Completely.
He spits out the name Dark Witch. The text says it's through gritted teeth, his tone suddenly cold, ugly, matter-of-fact. It sends this sharp chill through Hazel and young Perkins. And that one word, it just crushes Hazel's little crush. She feels wounded. And Perkins, who was probably still feeling a bit slighted by Hazel, he sees this, and the text says he feels this grim satisfaction. What does that Dark Witch moment reveal?
It's like a mask slips. You know, it shows deep vulnerability, maybe trauma, something hidden. Dark Witch isn't just a town name for him. It's clearly a source of intense pain or shame, something he keeps locked down tight.
Right.
And for Perkins, who's looking for cracks in this perfect facade, it's confirmation. Bingo. It tells him, okay, this guy's got baggage. Heavy baggage. It reminds you that even people driving change have their own demons.
Yeah. And Perkins keeps looking, scrutinizing the clothes again, the shiny shoes, the perfect creases, the suit, and he lands on this thought. Pickman is perfect. Too perfect. There's something unnatural about it, something unnatural, unreal. What's the weight of that observation, too perfect?
It suggests it's not just neatness, it's a performance. Like he's consciously constructing this image of flawlessness.
Okay.
In a place where life is rough, messy, unpredictable. That level of perfection feels artificial, almost alien. It makes him stand out even more, not just as a northerner, but as something else. It's an early hint that maybe this persona is just that, a persona, hiding something much more complex, or, as Perkins feels, maybe even unnatural, inhuman.
So the narrative moves them along, and they reach this really significant spot, the crossroads. Hazel explains the layout to Pickman. You've got Colored Town, or Nigger Town, as she says white folks call it. There's the river, the planters' fields, where most black people work. And then she points toward Muskie, the white town, and spits with loathing. Beyond just the map, what's the symbolism here? The crossroads, the way the land is divided.
It's incredibly symbolic.
Yeah.
Crossroads itself is literally a place of choice, a potential turning point for Pickman's mission, for the whole community.
Right.
And the way the land is described, Colored Town here, fields there, white town over there, it's a stark map of segregation, of economic control. Hazel's spitting isn't just personal disgust, it's generations of oppression made physical. It highlights just how deep these divisions run, making Pickman's goal of unity seem almost impossible.
And then comes the practical, immediate danger. Young Perkins and Hazel warn Pickman about the sundown law. It's against the law for colored people to be in town after dark. And the sun's setting. He cannot go into Muskie. This isn't just advice, it's a deadly serious rule. What does the sundown law reveal about how control worked back then?
It's a perfect example of how oppression wasn't just about outright violence, though there was plenty of that. It was also this architecture of control, invisible lines on a map, times on a clock that dictated your every move. It was psychological warfare, really, keeping people in a state of fear, limiting their freedom, especially after dark. For Pickman, it's a brutal welcome gift, a reminder that his high ideals are crashing headfirst into a reality where just being black in the wrong place at the wrong time could get you killed.
Then they meet Mr. Grimes, the Iceman. He's described as old, wise, long, gray-white beard. Seems like a community elder.
Right, representing that sort of deep-rooted resilience.
And we see him handle white authorities who ask about colored boys fooling around in town. He plays dumb, calls them tramps, protects his own. It's subtle defiance. What's his role here?
Grimes is that accumulated wisdom, the survival tactics passed down. His interaction is a masterclass in what scholars sometimes call code switching. He knows how to navigate the system without direct confrontation.
Okay.
He seems ignorant to protect his people. It's a form of loyalty, understanding the delicate balance needed. And crucially, he passes on a warning to young Perkins. The deputy's looking for someone with a scar near their head. Adds another layer of tension, maybe directed at Pickman.
Interesting. But the strangeness around Pickman kicks up a notch with Mr. Grimes's mule shotgun.
Ah, yes.
Pickman approaches, and Shotgun just freaks out, whinnying, neighing, rearing up. Grimes can barely control him. He's totally befuddled by the animal's unnatural behavior.
Mm-hmm.
But the second Pickman steps back, Shotgun calms right down, instantly. This isn't just a spooked animal. The text calls it unnatural. What does this reaction from an animal tell the people watching?
This pushes things into a different realm, doesn't it? Beyond human suspicion.
Yeah.
Animals in folklore and literature often sense things we don't... Evil, the supernatural, something profoundly other.
Right.
Shotgun's violent reaction and how it stops the moment Pickman retreats, it strongly suggests an instinctive, maybe even preternatural rejection of him. It validates the human unease. Hints that whatever's wrong with Pickman isn't just secrets or attitude, it's something deeper, something fundamentally wrong, unnatural. It puts its very nature into question.
And that mule incident just ramps up the tension between Pickman and young Perkins. They lock eyes, this tense stare down. Hazel gets nervous, has to step in, tells Perkins, "Now you apologize to Mr. Pickman and let's be on our way."
Yeah, she forces the issue.
Perkins resists at first, glares right back, but Hazel playfully splashes him with some cold water, breaks the tension a bit, and he finally, reluctantly, offers his hand for a handshake. Friendship.
But Pickman's response?
It's chilling. He gives this smile as venomous as a cobra and extends that gloved right hand.
And this handshake, it goes from awkward formality to something terrifying. Perkins takes the hand, this black enigma, and immediately feels trapped, like a fly caught in the deadly grip of a Venus flytrap.
Wow.
Pickman tightens his grip. The text notes a slight look of sadistic pleasure on his face. Perkins feels sharp pain shooting through his fingers, and he feels something through the leather, the inhuman shape of the hand. He knows it has 4 fingers and a thumb, of which all were acting in unison, squeezing.
Inhuman contours. All fingers squeezing together. That is deeply unsettling. It's only when Hazel puts her hands on their shoulders that Pickman lets go. What does this moment reveal, this physical, painful contact?
It's raw power on display, but not just strength. It's unnatural strength combined with cruelty, that sadistic pleasure.
Right.
The description, inhuman, fingers acting in unison, it explodes young Perkins' suspicion that Pickman is hiding something evil. It suggests the glove isn't just hiding a scar, it might be hiding something not entirely human. Pickman isn't just a man with secrets anymore. He's potentially something far more dangerous, maybe even malevolent.
So Hazel and young Perkins finally get away from the crossroads. They're relieved. But Perkins, he throws one last verbal jab over his shoulder.
Can't resist, can he?
"Be careful now, Mr. Pickman," he says, sort of sarcastic. "Remember, the schoolhouse is right next to the river. Don't you go falling in. I'd hate to see you get yourself drowned."
It's a threat, really. A desperate, maybe futile challenge. And it hangs there, followed by this final haunting image. Perkins keeps looking back as they walk away. And each time, Mr. Pickman is still there, still standing in the center of the crossroad, watching.
Just watch.
That image is powerful. This man who came talking freedom and education, leaving behind this wake of hope, fear, and this profound, almost supernatural dread. He's not just visiting, he's observing, like a sentinel, or maybe something else.
It leaves you with so much, doesn't it, this first encounter? And it raises this big question. In a world filled with obvious dangers, the sundown laws, the Klan, everyday racism, what about the dangers you can't see? The hidden ones. We see this figure arrive, sparking incredible hope, but also this deep, almost primal fear. It makes you wonder what kind of freedom is even possible and what's the real cost when the biggest fights might not be out in the open, but inside people, in these unsettling mysteries. What do you think the future looks like for a place like Muskie, Mississippi, with a stranger like Philip Pickman standing alone at that crossroads, just watching?